Late Tuesday night, early Wednesday morning, everyone. This is Arab Desai, and we're giving an update on now Category 4 Hurricane Michael. Very dangerous and very potentially devastating, and probably will be very devastating for the Florida Panhandle region, and starting to close in on the Florida Panhandle. Central pressure is now 945 millibars, and again, it is a Category 4 now, winds of 130 miles an hour. And I did say there was the potential for it to become a Category 4 hurricane. The NHC did have it as a Category 3 originally, but I did say that there was the potential for more, as the waters here are very warm. There's really nothing to stop it from strengthening, and so we do have now a Category 4 hurricane with the potential to even strengthen even further, as it still does have some time over open waters. It is moving to the north at 12 miles per hour. If we look at the satellite image at the moment for Michael, you can see that it has gotten its act together very quickly. Just a couple of days ago, it was still quite disorganized, very disorganized, in fact. It was just a tropical storm just 2 days ago. Now we're talking about a very severe Category 4 hurricane. As you can see, the eye is starting to clear out and it's definitely starting to develop here. It has a small little pinhole eye, and then you can see the very, very cold cloud tops surrounding the eye in the eye wall region. These cloud tops are very cold, indicated by the whites and especially the pink colors, which indicates a very strong and a strengthening hurricane. And as you can see, it is starting to make its way north, and it does look like it's starting to move a little bit to the east. It has been starting wobbling to the northeast in the last couple of frames, so it is starting to make that eastwardly turn as it does start to approach the Florida Panhandle coastline. And as you can see on the radar too, that the outer bands of Michael are starting to impact the Florida Panhandle. As you can see, the heavy rain bands have started to come on shore. And then there also is the tail of Michael, the right side of the storm, is also starting to bring some heavy rain even to the Tampa area and the western coast of the Florida Peninsula. And then there's going to be some very heavy rain associated with Michael. And this is just a taste of what's to come, really, over the next several hours, and as conditions will continue to rapidly deteriorate, especially for the Florida Panhandle region. And with this, there's also a threat. There's also a high threat of tornadoes with Hurricane Michael, especially on the tail region, indicated the right side of the region of Michael, indicated by my mouse right now. So there could be definitely a lot of tornadoes, also a high tornado threat associated with this system, as if all the other stuff wasn't bad enough. We also have the threat of tornadoes. So it's definitely going to be a very bad situation for much of the Florida region, especially the western Florida Peninsula and for the upper Florida Panhandle. You can see the reconnaissance aircraft has been going into Michael. It did record a pressure of 947 millibars just south of the eye. This was as of 15 minutes ago. And you can see it has started to make its way north and west and is starting to head back towards the eye of Michael. And as it does head back towards Michael, it should be able to pick up probably a more accurate pressure reading. The strongest pressure, usually the strongest pressure will be directly in the right front quadrant region, the northeast region of the eye wall. And that is where the reconnaissance is heading right now. But they have been having some troubles because there has been a lot of lightning in the core of Michael, which is very rare in hurricanes. Usually you don't see lightning in hurricanes, especially not near the eye, in the eye wall, unless it's a very strong, very rapidly strengthened hurricane. And that is what Michael is doing. So that just shows you just how strong this system really is. And as you can see, the reconnaissance is approaching the eye now from the east side. And so within another probably 20 to 30 minutes, we should get another pressure reading to see just how much stronger Michael is getting at the moment. Now, if we look at the 5-day cone, the path from National Hurricane Center for Hurricane Michael, you can see that it is going to be making landfall. It's going to be coming onshore tomorrow afternoon, or I guess it'll be today afternoon now. We'll be coming onshore probably around 5 p.m. Eastern time on Wednesday. And then, as you can see, it does have it starting to weaken as it does come onshore Wednesday evening. At least the good news is that Michael will be out of the region relatively quickly, as it will be start to be moving pretty fast as it accelerates to the east, and will be cutting through areas of inland Georgia and the Carolinas as a tropical storm before it heads out to sea as an extratropical cyclone. And as you can see, there are not just tropical storm warnings for regions of Florida, but also tropical storm warnings for the Georgia and South Carolina coastline, and a tropical storm watch for all of North Carolina, the North Carolina coast. And of course, we do have the hurricane warnings stretching from Mobile Bay, Alabama, all the way down through the Big Bend region of Florida to just north of the Tampa Bay region. And you can see that the NHC originally did have Michael peaking at a 130 mile an hour Category 4 hurricane, but this was as of the 11 p.m. advisory. The forecast discussions only come out every 6 hours, so this won't be updated until the 5 a.m. advisory, but I do expect that they will be showing an even stronger system once the 5 a.m. advisory does roll around. Now looking at the potential storm surge, the flooding for Michael, the storm surge is usually the biggest cause of fatalities when it comes to hurricanes. So if we look at the storm surge map, you can see in the Apalachicola Bay especially, that there's going to be some very high storm surge. The orange colors do indicate 6+ feet of storm surge, and the red colors indicate greater than 9 feet of storm surge. And there is quite a bit of red too here in the Apalachicola Bay area especially. So there's definitely potential, and there's even the potential for more than 9 feet of storm surge. Some forecasts do show up to even 12 feet of storm surge. That would be absolutely historic and unprecedented for this area. And Michael is already making history, as if it does come on shore as a Category 4, then it would be the only Category 4, the only hurricane of Category 4 strength or more to make landfall in the Florida Panhandle region. So this region has never seen a storm quite this powerful before. So this Michael is going to be giving some very, very bad effects. Going to be a very catastrophic situation for the Florida Panhandle region. It's going to be a very bad situation. If we look at the rainfall potential now for from the Hurricane Center, you can see that there's the potential for a good 6 to 10 inches of rainfall for much of the Florida Panhandle region, especially the area of landfall, where it will be making landfall, which will be most likely just east of the Panama City region. And of course, that is where the heaviest rain will be. And keep in mind that since Michael is moving fast, that does mean that while it won't be dumping as much rain as a system like Florence did, it will be dumping a lot of rain in a short amount of time. And so that will be causing quite a bit of flash flooding. There's a high potential for flash flooding in this region of Florida. If we look at the forecast track models now for Michael, you can see that it will be coming on shore again within the next 12 to 24 hours, and again, most likely, probably sometime Wednesday afternoon around 4 to 5 p.m. would be the time of landfall, and then it will be weakening to a tropical storm and cutting through the Carolinas, and we'll be bringing more rain to that region too, and of course, they just suffered from Hurricane Florence, which dumped almost 3 feet of rain in some areas of the Carolinas, not just about 3 to 4 weeks ago now. And so they'll be getting even more rain, and so that will cause more flooding for them as well. But then after that, it should be moving out to sea. There's the chance that it could bring some rain even to some areas further north in the Delmarva region and maybe some areas of southern New Jersey. But it should not be as much, definitely not as much as areas further south will be seeing. And looking at the intensity forecasts, most of the models do show weakening actually within the next 12 hours, which I think is pretty strange, as it's not going to be making landfall for another 12 hours still. So if anything, it should really be strengthening still over the next 12 hours, or at least will be maintaining its strength for the most part. There's really nothing to weaken it because there's not much dry air. The waters are very warm, and there is some wind shear, but I mean the wind shear has not stopped it because even despite all this wind shear, it still managed to go from a tropical storm to a Category 4 hurricane in just less than 48 hours time. So the wind shear has really not negatively impacted Hurricane Michael in any way. In fact, it somehow helped to kind of enhance it in a way, which is definitely pretty strange. So I don't think that it will be weakening to a Category 3. It is possible if it does undergo an eye wall replacement cycle, which does happen, especially with powerful hurricanes. Every once in a while, they will go under an eye wall replacement cycle where the old eye will collapse, and that causes slight weakening in the system, and then a new eye forms, and then the system does have the opportunity to re-strengthen after that, and the wind field expands. So even if it does go under the eye wall replacement cycle, and even if it does slightly weaken, it wouldn't weaken by too much. And the bad thing is that the wind field would expand, so the area of tropical storm and hurricane force winds will cover a greater area, which is it's sort of a lose-lose situation where it will be a bad storm either way, whether it ends up weakening or strengthening. So it's definitely going to be a very bad scenario. Now, if we look at the European model, the latest 0Z run from this morning, you can see it does have landfall again in the same region, the Panama City region, maybe just a hair east of that region. This pressure value, however, is definitely not accurate as it initialized with 974 millibar, even though Michael, even at the 11 p.m. advisory, was a lot more than that. I believe it was in the 950s. And so don't expect it to be a 956 millibar system. At landfall, it will most likely be much more than that, as it's already at 945 millibars. Of course, then after it does make landfall, it will be cutting through the Carolinas, and then it will be heading out into the open waters of the Atlantic Ocean. And for the GFS model, it shows a 951 millibar landfall. But again, it did initialize at 970, so it's more likely that it will be making landfall as a sub 940 millibar with sub 940 millibar pressure, which will be at least a Category 4, at least a strong Category 3, and quite possibly a Category 4, as it is already a Category 4. And it's not looking like it's going to weaken. In fact, it looks like it's just going to keep continuing to strengthen until the point of landfall. And now if we look at the rainfall forecasts from the GFS model, you can see that the GFS model does show a wide swath of rain associated with Michael. Of course, the most rain will be around the landfall area. It does show up for Panama City, it shows about a good 9 to 10 inches, even up to maybe up to a foot of rain in that region. In other areas of the Panhandle may see a good 7 to 8 inches as well. And even areas of Georgia might see 6+ inches, especially areas of southwestern Georgia near the landfall point. And then the rainfall amounts do start to lessen as you do head further north and east, but even some areas in the Carolinas could see up to 4 to 6 inches of rain on top of what they already got from Florence about a month ago. So that's going to definitely cause more flooding. And there could even be a flooding threat up through Maryland and areas of Delaware, as that region also might see 2 to 3 inches of rain in a short amount of time. So the flooding potential is also high with Hurricane Michael. I hope that everyone is going to stay safe. I hope that everyone who was in an evacuation zone did evacuate. And if you are staying, please make sure that you have adequate shelter and do not go outside no matter what, as this is going to be a very, very bad system, especially near the landfall point in Panama City, Florida, and the Apalachicola Bay. I'll have another update tomorrow. Thank you for watching.